Alright, so what's going on, everybody? It is February 2nd, 2024. It is 11:56 a.m. It is the professional trader back with another video. I'm also here with my brother Kailash. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Doing
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. So, this is kind of our post-reaction analysis to the markets. But for I'm sure everybody who's aware of the fundamentals have seen the numbers. I mean, I didn't even have to look at the numbers to know that they came out positive. So this is really kind of my first time looking at them. And what that the NFP, that's a crazy different number. I'm really just realizing how different it was from the forecasted 187 to the 353K. What do you think about that, man?
I read about it, yeah, this morning. I did sleep in this morning a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm still working on it. Like I'm trying to transition my mind like away from the fundamentals, but I
Yeah.
did see it's like a huge difference.
Mhm.
And
So for me, I'm still like a it's always gonna be like I'm price action, right? But I will say the fundament because I see both sides of the people who are like fundamentals don't matter and fundamentals do matter because I used to be that person. I watched a guy, his name is Trader Nick, and he's been going live on YouTube for a couple years now. And I remember like a year or two ago, like he would talk about the fundamentals, and I would literally always like do other things. So I was like, all right, man, I'm waiting for you to talk about price action. But it's like now I really listen to what he has to say. But for me, the fundamentals more so helps to be more confident in a decision, right? Because it's not I'm not I'm not going bullish one day, going bearish one day. For me, the fundamentals help stick with the okay, I can really swing, a trade this way because I know that, even though it may retrace, from a fundamental standpoint, it's bullish or it's bearish, but then, the price action confirms it. So that's why I really appreciate it lately. But the guy I personally follow, who I would say is my mentor, doesn't care about fundamentals at all. So, it's
yeah.
interesting for sure. Yeah. But I hear you for sure.
Because I don't want to seem like too like I like how do I say biased? Because I
Hmm.
totally understand. Like we all see it.
Yeah.
The numbers come out and the
Yeah.
market
And
moves. So
yeah. Yeah.
can't like can't get in front of it, right? You can't
Yeah,
like
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
get run
It it
over.
it would be kind of crazy to say that, that the news doesn't impact the market, but it doesn't mean that I have to sit here and try to like, trade it one way or the other way because like, this is what I think. So yeah, I agree with you for sure. But yeah, man, these numbers a lot better than expected, especially
Yeah.
the NFP. So I'm just gonna give my personal opinion on the DXY and some of the things that I think, man, and then I'm gonna go give the screen to you, man, and then take us through some of the things you've been looking at and so on and so forth. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know, finally seeing potentially that the DXY is breaking out one way finally. It was pretty interesting because yesterday, what was it? It was the unemployment claims that came out, lesser than expected, but not, the number wasn't super different, but the dip in the market was pretty crazy. You know, for me, just because of what Jerome Powell said the day before, it made me think that the DXY was still, short term, it still had a lot more room to go. But then when the numbers came out yesterday, for me, it really showed like, how the market moves in cycles, but how the market is also, it's always a battle of, pessimism versus optimism, right? So people heard what Jerome Powell said yesterday, but then the numbers come out. So it's like, oh man, we got to sell, sell, sell. That's just kind of how I see things, right? But then, we still had NFP that was the next day, and then, all these other
Mm.
things. So it's really just interesting to see the battle of pessimism versus optimism in the markets and how it'll really swing things one way and how it'll really, just make things range, the other. But yeah,
Do you think things started accelerating? You know how like after that there was I think it's called ISM numbers,
yeah.
like the one like a couple hours later. I noticed
Yeah.
the DXY really accelerated when those came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, and also, It's crazy because the DXY tanked, but the numbers were pretty bullish later that day.
Okay.
So, because I'm looking at the ISM numbers, and what came out was 49.1, and what was forecasted was 47.2. And I'm looking over here, it says the usual effect is actual greater than forecast is good for currency, but the markets, didn't even
Okay.
care that those numbers came out. People saw those unemployment numbers come out, because we've been having pretty good bullish news for as far as fundamentals go for the dollar. And I feel like
Mm.
that unemployment claims yesterday was kind of maybe like the first, like I would say, quote unquote, not bullish for the dollar news in a while. And I feel like the markets just kind of took that and ran with it. But we see today is a different story. But couple of forex pairs that I do want to talk about. Just because I've been trying to catch these, man, for a while. First one is AUD USD. I was in it from I don't remember what days, but I traded it from the week of here, whenever that happened. This was Wednesday, January 31st, with my stop loss just right above here. And immediately I went into profit, even making, even closing below this low right here. But when those numbers came out, we see that the market's completely, changed in the direction and went the opposite way. So I closed this trade. Um, Still profitable. I think I made about $40 today, but I re-entered again just shortly after those numbers came out bullish for the dollar. The markets tanked one way, it had a little bit of a retracement, so it was like, okay, as soon like the best entry that I can get on this market, I'll take it, and I'm gonna put my stop loss just right above the resistance again. So the markets was like somewhere down here, and then retraced a little bit back here, and then I personally said, maybe a bit of FOMO, but it's like, okay, I'll take it just because, these numbers are super hot, and I can see the dollar, not wicking this time, and just, running with this. So took that trade, stop loss just right above. So I've been trying to chase AUD USD all this week now. I was, in it pretty profitable, got stopped out for a, small profit, but looking to see if, not this week, but when the market's closing, maybe next week, if we can finally get that continuation to the downside. But that's just one trade that I'm personally in. Another one, I've been trying to trace this one pretty early. It's still not ready, in my opinion, right? We still need the breakout of that support level right here. But just because I've been bullish on the dollar, I've been trying to go short on other pairs. But even GBP USD, I was in it at some point over here when the market came up here, wicked. Was pretty profitable at one point, but I closed this one for a break even. So, I didn't win on that one. I didn't lose. So I still called that one a win. So, I'll take it. But those are just kind of the two trades that I have running. But something I do want to talk about, and I do want to mention is just from a wave theory perspective, man, there's something I've been noticing just because I would say my mentor, he trades the wave theory. So it's been interesting watching, it happen. So man, Kailash, you tell me what you think about this. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, I want to start off with USD CAD. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take that out real quick. So, it found its support down here, right, and it had this impulse right here, breaking above these structures right here, and then couldn't find a new high for a while. Retraced, and to today, we see we're breaking higher. So something that that the wave theory talks about is how after the initial first wave, the initial first impulse to the upside or to the downside, whenever the market changes the direction, the market is always going to retrace 50% of it or to that 61 percent level. So it's pretty interesting to watch it go bullish, for all these days and then go bearish for all these days just for it to, perfectly touch that 50% level and look like it wants to turn the other way. So I've noticed that with USD CAD. I noticed with gold. So, if so the market has been buying up, blah 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 from here, right? And then from about this point, we saw a change in the direction, even breaking below these lows. So I took, the fib tool from this swing high to this swing low, and it seems like, perfectly, the opposite way. The market retraced perfectly to that 618 level. It looked like the 50% level could have been that level, but the 382 level kind of had everybody in the chokehold, right? Because it was this level, it was a level of resistance. It was the 382 level, right? But it broke above, retraced the 618 level perfectly, which was another resistance level. And then, today we're seeing that this might be the level where it starts to sell from. And then I also noticed it with Euro AUD, right? So from a daily perspective, we found support over here, broke above this resistance level that was right here, which was the 382, broke above 382 level, couldn't hold, but we see that if we draw the fib from the swing high to the swing low, that it broke just a little below the 50, didn't hit the 618 perfectly, but it needed that deeper retracement. And then, today we're seeing that, not today, but ever since, it retraced down here, we see that it's caught with the bullish momentum. And then, looking at it, it even retested the 382 perfectly. And now it looks like it may be continuing. So it's just something that I've noticed, man, with the markets. It
Yeah.
seems like that after that first impulse to the upside, to the downside, basically when the market is changing structure, it seems like it usually always just finds itself retracing to that 50% level, to that 61.8, or just somewhere in between that. So it's just very interesting to see that happen, man. So that's just what I wanted to talk about, man.
It's
Yeah.
so cool. I see it too, because especially when you talk about like the big moves
Hmm.
usually have the 50% because the most likely scenario is always with the market. I've noticed too.
Hmm.
It always eventually like tightens up. Not
Yeah.
all the time, but usually after a big move,
Hmm.
usually pull back 50% and then bounce and then set a lower high and then just
Right.
tighten up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what I know about the initial wave. I'm
Mm.
still like trying to, so I think the initial wave, it'll do that 50 to 61 point 8 level. I don't know what they say about like the second impulse, but I think they say that one usually retraces to like the 382 or 236. I'm not sure, so I don't want to be quoted on that, but I do know they say for that first impulse to the upside, whether up or down, it usually finds itself retracing to that 50 or 6.8. So it's very interesting to see it just happen. The market is literally just a cycle, and like, and that's why I agree with people who say fundamentals don't matter, because at the end of the day you didn't need to know anything about what was going on in the economy to see these Fibonacci levels. But pretty interesting, man. But I'm gonna give the screen to you, man.
All
Are you
right.
able to share your
Cool.
screen?
Cool. Yeah. Let me see.
Okay.
And it's at the end of the day, it's how do I say it? It's like a self-reinforcing mechanism. I don't know how to say it. Like self-fulfilling prophecy.
Hmm.
It's like the more
Yeah.
people that are looking at the number, you know what I mean? Like things get front run, all that stuff happens.
Yep.
Oh, let's see.
Yep.
Like I like the gold that you showed
Yeah.
with the fib. There was on that 618, there was no close above the I forget what time frame. It was probably the 4 hour, or maybe
Yeah, the
it was a
four.
daily. Oh wait, I'm looking at the other one. XAU USD. But yeah, there was no close above the 618,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it's probably gonna take me time to get that. But let's see. I like the AUD. I think I told you before. It has that 2 day. I like the 3 day chart just
Um,
because it looks the most clear on the 3 day chart. The fib is probably going to be under like 236.
mm,
And let me just stretch this. So yeah, like
mm,
it's under the 382. So it's a clear bear flag
yeah.
and it just looks very good. I think you're most likely just going to let it run, right? Because
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's the best thing to do.
I'm trying to. So I'm in a $2 lot on AUD USD, and I have a $1 lot going on GBP USD. So
Mm.
realistically, if these trades do swing, like from a momentum standpoint, I could get funded just like off of these two trades. So yeah,
Yeah,
I have my stop loss to break even, just because I may have impulsively entered, and the market may give some back, going into the end of the week and next week, just for it to continue. But yeah, looking to see if how far I can take these trades, like always, though.
it looks really good. Yeah, this looks like the move. I think for sure. And
Okay.
those rules, like those balance rules, the
Yeah.
first step is once we break away from balance, just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we return, then you close the trade. So that's essentially, in my opinion, too, like just this first high, 103.69.2. I think as
Hmm.
long as we're above that, then it
Right.
seems like clear.
Right. And
Yeah.
and it seems that like, so it seems like this may be the second bull run for the DXY because we saw that initial
Mhm.
bull run that happened, if you zoom out
Yes.
a little bit, right, then we impulse to the upside for however long.
Yep.
Everybody kind of forgot that the market was impulsive for that long because we retraced for 2 weeks. But it seems that like the return of that second move is maybe now going. So kind of like what you said, right? Wouldn't be looking for as deep of a retracement this time, just because we've already had an initial run to the upside versus a retracement, and now it seems like the market wants to continue, right? So
Yep.
wouldn't want to see this market consolidate. Small retracements is kind of like, what I would want to see this time, not the market spending 2 weeks in a consolidated area before it
Mm.
continuing. So yeah, but I agree with you and those balance rules that you said most definitely. And right
Yep.
now that it's finally picked away, it looks like it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense.
And even zooming out, I'm thinking to now the weekly chart.
Hmm.
So essentially on the DXY, I mean on we're going really like we're kind of in this range overall, like in a structure
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking we kind of swept this low, so you can even draw it down here. But
Hmm.
essentially, like there's quite a bit of room to run. I'm
Hmm.
still essentially, I think we can look for a lower high compared to this, but
Hmm.
I'm not gonna try to time it like right now.
Yeah.
But
And sorry,
that's
I'm
really
sorry.
cool. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead, go
but
ahead. Yeah.
even before that white line, I'm looking at because if you go back to the 4 hour chart that
Yeah, yeah.
so it's like yes, it's broken out of this resistance, but even there's yeah,
Yeah,
literally right there, right? So it's like the market has broken high,
yeah.
but it looks like, but it would if we break out of that one, which I feel like we can break out with big momentum without even having to stop for too long, then right, that weekly resistance, right, I feel like could like more so happen, right? And it's like, okay, when do those rate cut talks become real? Who knows? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting for sure.
One thing too I should point out is the bonds. So these are it's the ZN. That ticker is called ZN. It's the
Okay.
10-year treasuries. And they have like a lot, like, there's a lot of money that trades through this every single
Mhm.
day. And what I noticed was when DXY, how do I say it? So let's go 4 hour maybe. But essentially, right now, the bonds are getting a really big move down along
Mhm.
with the dollar getting a move up.
Mhm.
And the bonds never really sold off during this whole sideways range.
Yeah.
The bonds were kind of, they went up, but this time, like this move, they're getting really sold down. So
Mhm.
I'm sure the 10-year yield on TNX, you can see the yields are kind of picking up. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah.
I was on my way back home just because I just got back home. I was listening to NPR. I'm not
Mm.
sure if that's a station that's like everywhere or if it's just a US thing, but it's
Yeah. Yeah.
they were basically talking about how 2 year and 5 year bonds are about to have like a big sale basically because
Mm.
the government is trying to raise some money for the debt because the debt is at one. I forgot the number. That says 1 trillion something, a make believe number basically. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that 2 year and 5 year bonds were about to go like on a big sale, big auction, just so the government could raise money. So that actually is something I wanted to ask you about. So and I see you have it pulled up now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
is that something that would make the bond market sell off the 2 year and 5 year bond if that does happen? Well, I think it's happening for sure. I'm just not sure when it's happening.
Yeah. So I know because I'm not actually sure the answer. I do
Mhm.
not know. I'd have to actually do more research. Like I'm
Um,
interested in it. but I've every time I try, it's so complex. Like they have these
Mm.
auctions and they've recently been moving the market.
Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
auction, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. They're having an auction on the 2 year and 5 year bonds. That is what the lady who I was listening to was saying. So yeah,
What I know
pretty.
for sure, like a guarantee, I know for a
Mhm,
fact, is the 2 and the 5 year, like the shorter term notes and the shorter term treasuries,
mhm,
the Federal Reserve, like the government, the Congress, they kind of have more control over that.
mhm,
But the longer dated ones is the market. It's more of like the people who just like investors or
mhm,
traders who have a lot of
mhm.
money, they
Uh-huh.
kind of have more control over the longer term notes. So I think essentially from what I gather from that is like when you look at the shorter term notes, you're getting more of an idea of what the government's doing. But when you
Mhm.
look at the longer term notes, you're kind of getting an idea of what like the broader market is doing.
Okay,
So
that does make a
yeah,
lot of sense, most definitely. I wanted
it's
to
very
ask you,
complicated. Yeah.
what stocks are you looking at?
Mm.
Are you looking at SP 500, NAS 100, US 30? Do you have any like analysis on those?
Yeah.
Just because it's starting to interest me a lot more. I will not lie. The
Mm.
NAS 100, the SP 500, they're very interesting for sure. Do you have opinions on them?
Yeah, I'm watching them every single day.
Mhm.
I'm also watching the Russell.
Okay.
One thing I'm really waiting for, like in terms of like longer term, I think I've talked about it before too. It's just the Russell kind of I hope this is not confusing, but like even if I can just hide them, I have another one I can load too. The index one, which shows all of them together,
Mhm.
and I have it here.
Nice, nice.
So I can maybe
I
just
need to play pay for Trading View, man. That's
it's
nice.
nice, it's nice.
Yeah, that's
They
nice.
recently
That's
did a
nice.
thing where you can't have two computers running at once, so I have to use the desktop version and the
Uh,
application, but I
mhm.
hope they fix that soon. But you can see here on the RTY. Oh man, let's fix that. If you see the monthly chart of the S&P 500 and the small
Mhm.
caps, I'm
Mhm.
sure it's really clear, right? Like the S&P 500, the Nasdaq on top, they're making new highs,
Yeah.
but the small caps on the bottom, they are not. And when
Mhm.
2020 happened, they both moved down together and then they both moved up together and they both broke to new highs and they kept going higher.
Mhm.
But this time around, the small caps are a lot weaker. They haven't had that run. So it's kind of like some people talk about how the Mag 7, like those big tech stocks are the only ones going up. And there
Mhm.
are other stocks going up. So it's not just those seven, but essentially, I'm waiting for the RTY to have some more strength, to have more confidence in the market. But yeah, I do watch it every day, kind of go on the
Okay.
daily.
Nice.
I have all my levels marked up.
What are
Essentially,
you?
yeah, yeah.
No, no, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I'll just say essentially for me, it's just sideways up. They're just
Okay.
moving sideways up, sideways up.
Hmm.
The I can switch out the intervals. So I can do the daily on the S&P 500.
Hmm.
Essentially, like there are periods where price goes sideways. Again, I hope this is not too confusing, but I'm taking this like this key range right here. All of the volume that occurred in this range, which is just I just mark up a rectangle of the high and the low,
Hmm.
and all of the volume that occurred in this range, you can see the how do I say it? The market just bottomed right there a couple
Yeah.
days ago. This was Wednesday.
Hmm.
That was actually
Yeah.
after the FOMC meeting. So the sellers did like sell the market. There was actually good selling on that day.
Hmm.
You can see from the meeting, like from the market open, there was already selling before. And then once the meeting happened, pretty much right there, right here, there was more selling. We broke through. Um, Actually, that's not when the meeting happened. It was right here, but the sellers couldn't take out this low.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
just couldn't they were not strong enough essentially,
Hmm.
and buyers
Hmm.
just kind of kept like going up
Right.
essentially. Yeah.
And that's why sometimes it's kind of hard to sell a market when it's overall still in a bullish, right? Because the path to least resistance is still more up than it is down, right? Because it broke out
Mm.
of a pretty pretty, I mean, it's a 4 hour support, but pretty nice 4 hour support, right? But just to hit another support level, right? It's a fine buyer momentum on that level. So yeah. Do you
Yeah.
what do you see though happening though? Do you see another retracement? Do you see it just taking off from here? Well, were you looking to buy in? Do you have any buys?
At the moment, no, but I was trading. I can show like I did a couple small trades
Mm-hmm.
on the RTY.
Mm-hmm.
So I can show an example, like, and it's they were very small trades. I don't know if you can see this right here. It'll take a while to load.
Yes.
These are my
Mm-hmm.
trades. I can zoom in maybe to the 15-minute. They were extremely short. So it was essentially right here. I was just buying this low. I did short a couple of trades right here. And when you go to the RTY, what I was looking at was, let's see, this hourly. Um, my first buy, I know this might be a little bit too confusing, but essentially when the sellers got going yesterday morning,
Mm-hmm.
they stopped right over here. So I was actually using that 1940 as a area to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And on the hourly chart, it's essentially this balance location right here. And it was price was reactive right here, right there. Essentially,
Yeah.
it couldn't break above it. And then once we broke above it, we actually kind of tested it as support. And I never know that it's going to hold, but you can always just kind of, place a trade and you can place your stop loss right under it
Yeah.
and give it a little bit of wiggle room. But I did kind of take it off right away because the size was a little bit high,
Mm-hmm.
but it was right there, just going into like, I could see price was kind of stalling out getting
Yeah.
into that. So I did take a trade off of that.
Nice.
But that's mainly what I've been trading, just some RTY. And there was some banking news. RTY was weak yesterday because
Mm-hmm.
the banks were having problems with
Yeah.
the small banks. But
Yeah. So let me ask you, so what would it take for you to go like long term bullish on it and like okay, I'm gonna place this trade and I'm confident that it'll continue. What do you need to see? Do you just need to see that new high come in?
yeah, I'll show you the daily chart because it's a lot more clear. And I've been
Mm,
trying to transition more into like a swing trader mindset because I know it's a lot less stressful, which is my favorite part about it.
yeah, facts.
It's pretty much this structure right here.
Okay.
Again, I don't want to make things too confusing, but it's this one right here, this high of this whole area before the March 2020 banking crisis stuff.
Hmm.
Price has never really accepted above it.
Yeah.
It's always had it as resistance multiple times.
Hmm.
We did try to break out of it. This is very messy. I should clean this up. But essentially I just want to see a break above the this whole sideways area, essentially. I just
Okay.
want to see them break above it and test it as support.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, I think just the S&P and the Nasdaq are the best ones to be buying.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I like that analysis, man, for sure.
Yeah,
Seems
it's
like you
very
had
messy.
a pretty good week, man. So right, can't complain, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, but it's Friday. Markets are gonna be closing soon. So for me, there's really no trades, no more or anything like that. Um, Real quick though, I do just want to take a look at what's coming out next week as far as fundamentals. Um.
Oh
Just
yeah, let's
just
see.
to yeah, just to look. So what is it from Sunday to Friday? Oh wait, I'm in the wrong month. And then next week, what is next week?
I think it's
Nothing
probably going to
for
be a lot more calm, right? Compared to
yeah,
this week.
right. Very
I'm
calm,
happy.
very calm, right? Not much USD news is all. I think only oh, Powell speaks on Sunday. I didn't even know that was a thing. 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Yeah, didn't know that. So
Okay.
that could be interesting, right? I feel like if he says the same thing that he says on is it Thursday, Wednesday? I think on Wednesday, I feel like the markets could open up with the gap and just continue
Yeah.
shooting to the upside. Who knows? But I'm not here predicting anything, but
Hmm.
pretty right. It's gonna be pretty pretty just price action, right? Nothing too crazy from a fundamental standpoint, just to look for. So that'd be pretty interesting. Tomorrow I'm gonna give a person like a more personal look on some of the trades that I took and just kind of like explaining my mindset. But appreciate you, Kailash, for taking the time out to speak to
For
me, man.
sure.
Yeah, man. Sometime next week, we'll get back most definitely and just update each other and see how we're doing.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna set everything up, make everything clean and tidy.
Nice, 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 nice.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. So, man, appreciate to everybody who is watching as well. I don't know, man. Hey, we actually somebody commented on the video that we did together, man, and he
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
said, yeah, he said something real nice. He was just like, man, you guys keep going. He was like, this is very professional, and I'm appreciating because he could have been talking to me because it was both of us. So I took that
Nice.
as he and appreciated that. So man, pretty cool, man,
Yeah.
pretty cool for
It's
sure. Yeah,
definitely it's always a work in progress. And like as long as we're
yeah,
having like that mindset of going in the right direction, it's just
yeah,
gonna happen over
yeah,
time. So that's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
That's
for
good to
sure.
hear.
Yeah, I know the old me would have most definitely blown my account in just 2 weeks that I was waiting for the market to like decide which way it was gonna go. So,
Yeah. I
you know,
am the old you because I
I don't
did that
know,
right there.
man. Hey,
Yeah.
man, but you're funded, man. You're not even. I'm trying to be like you, truth be told. So,
Thank you. I'm trying to be like it's always, you know what, it's always a give and take because the
yep,
way you
yep.
place your trades, sometimes I'm like I'm too afraid. You know what I mean? I still have
Mm,
that fear from
mm.
2022.
Yeah,
That market
understandable.
really shook me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
understandable.
it's
Man,
good. Yeah,
yeah, you helped me a lot though, man. You have no idea, bro. You have no idea.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll see you sometime next week. And yeah, man, just thank you to everybody who is watching, commenting, subscribing, man. You guys have a great weekend. So I'll see you soon, my brother.
All right, all right. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.